when you see Oklahoma City and Miami agree to the deal that nets them a trade exception and Oladipo's salary goes to Oklahoma City and those second round picks come to Miami, which it appears one will get routed in the Max Strus deal. We don't know how it's all going to play out. We'll see. The point is that deal was made final today. So we speculated how that would be the team that would be involved in this Dame trade. No, it's not going to be Oklahoma City. But Max Strus and San Antonio, who has cap space still, as well as the Cleveland Cavaliers, they did not make their trade final. So the SPY report to me is the available teams for Portland, Miami, and let's say a Brooklyn to recruit into this deal now appear to be San Antonio and Cleveland. I know that changes by the minute, and probably this will end up being a 3-team deal. They'll simplify it and just get it done at some point. That's kind of where my gut leans, even though we're talked about such big, robust trades. But for now, let's exit Oklahoma City from the conversation, although we did hear that they were interested in Hero, and that's legitimate, credible sources telling us that information. I think at this point, it's much more likely that with the Strus deal pending, the SPY report is San Antonio and Cleveland loom as teams to be added to the Dame Lillard mega team deal.
And also something that would confirm that to some degree. Originally, we thought that maybe a second-round pick that came from Cleveland in the Strus deal would be flipped to Oklahoma City, but it wasn't.
You're right.
It's 2 Miami picks, 29 and 30. So, again, put the pieces together if you want. One thing on our end that we did report on off the floor is that teams that have shown some interest in Caleb Martin, there may be others, but to our knowledge, Portland, which we obviously know that's a bit of a sticking point. I still don't understand why Portland would be that interested in him, considering that he can become a free agent after 1 year. And again, they're going younger. He's a ready-to-win player right now, obviously. He just almost won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. But the two other teams that have shown interest in Caleb are Brooklyn, right? So that could be somebody who's flipped over there, or OKC, right? Those are the other two that we've discussed and could be possibilities to fill out a trade. And we still talk about OKC unlocking protections, possibly. Maybe the third time's a charm here. If OKC might have been like, we don't know this. Again, it's not a report, but might have been like, well, we're not going to do it here for the Oladipo thing. Give us your picks to take this, even though it's expiring, to take this contract off our hands. But maybe we'll do it next time if something else comes up. So that we have heard those 3 teams have expressed some interest in Caleb. The other thing that's come up, this name Josh Christopher keeps popping up, and I saw a report today that Memphis doesn't have room for him on the roster, right? So that's another name to continue to watch.
He could get waived, or they try to loop him into that deal. He's a small salary. There was also talk of maybe Dario Saric holding his horses on his deal and maybe thinking about it sounded the way they positioned it in the article. It looked like maybe he would either get rerouted to Miami and have second thoughts on Golden State, or somehow get to Golden State by being in that big trade. The other name that I wanted to mention on the show before we wrap is that I did receive confirmation, from a source that a name to watch if the Heat are forced to, and the Heat don't want to do this, as surprisingly as it sounds. They don't want to trade Duncan, lose Max, and trade Tyler, because that's their shooters. And so if they do lose all their shooters, they're going to be looking for replacements. Jay Rich can do that to a degree, but not at high volume. Landry Shamet is the name that came up. He makes $10 million, so they are going to have to get creative in how to get him. He's now a Wizard. He was moved there in the Phoenix Suns deal for Bradley Beal. So that's just a name to watch. I know that it's nothing that we can necessarily that you would see happen now, because the Dame stuff the dust has to settle there first. But I think Miami's going to be looking around the league for guys in weird situations that could fill a need. And Shamet has shown he could shoot threes at times, although he has proved that he can also be played off the court in the playoffs. So we'll see how that develops. But that's just another name for Heat fans to monitor.
Suns fans were enormously frustrated with him, but
every good team he's ever been on.
Exactly. All right. So we'll close with you here, Alex. And again, we're going to do more as we go forward. But the 3 names that kind of got dropped here, as we talked about, Royce O'Neal, to you, is he worth what that would mean from a tax perspective? Is he worth $9.5 million to the Heat?
You know me. I'm a proponent of spending into the tax. It's not my money. I know it's easier, for me to say it, but I'm a proponent of spending into the tax if you're in a championship contending window. So yeah, Royce O'Neal. Obviously, you would prefer Dorian Finney-Smith, but Royce would be a great get. The Shamet thing, I'm into it. I was joking about how kind of good teams acquire him and then end up letting him walk or trade him. And I think there was a thing it might still be going where like the last few teams he's been on that are all these good teams, they end up like getting eliminated in the second round. It's like a weird trend that happens with whatever team Landry Shamet is on. So I don't like that, omen about it, but I do like him as a replacement if and when they have to send out their shooters. The Josh Christopher thing is interesting. That's not like a typical Heat name that you would hear as far as like the way that they fill out a roster. It's a young guy who wasn't really able to develop with Houston. So kind of adding just another young dude into your program. I don't know that much about his skill set. So I would be interested to see like what they see in him. And I'm not trying to say it in a bad way, but that's a little bit intriguing. And the Sarge thing makes sense. That we've heard the interest in the past with the Heat there. He kind of fits into the mold of, a rotation big man who can shoot, who can make decisions with the ball whenever he has to. Just a pretty smart player. I like where their brain is at. And it does sound like Sarge is kind of waiting on this Heat thing to play out. Because I remember there was a report before free agency started that he was like extremely likely to sign with the Warriors. And the Warriors have no holdups. If he wanted to sign there, it would probably be done already.
It's all right. We got it. We understand it. We're probably 10 minutes away from starting another episode. Thanks to Alex. Thanks to Greg. Thanks to our sponsors, Closure Investigative Agency, mortgagebyarash.com. Sign up for Off the Floor. Prize Picks. Use the code 5, FIVE. Keep us in business, please. So you get your initial deposit matched up to $100. I just want to say, you guys need to come up with what the bet is. I am saying Woj breaks this story. You're taking the field, Greg?
The field, but Shams and Haynes specifically.
Okay.
And maybe it should be that you and I have to each sing something on a live show.
That's not happening. You know what I'll have to do? I'll have to actually hook in a mic. How about that?
Well, that should be the bare minimum of
Alex
your job,
Ethan. For my benefit. He just did it.
We shouldn't have to bet for that.
Oh, no, you're talking. All right, we got to go. Be back soon.